So this is my grandpa. His name's Ed. Say hello.
Hello.
This is my mom. Say hello.
Hello.
And then back there with the iPad is my stepdad.
Hello.
And then that's my grandma over there.
Hello.
And they're all here to watch it because they're just excited as we are. So they just ignore them. They wanted to videotape it, so just ignore them. So, Grandma, you're going to talk a little bit about whatever you want to talk about. I'm going to let you're the teacher now.
Yeah, I'm just
Here you go.
I'm going to try to tell you what I experienced, a little bit about my experiences, and this is what I guess you guys are kind of interested in. Jeff says you're a great class. He really thinks you've got a great class, and so far I think you are too. As far as what can I tell you, kind of stories I can tell you, I'll probably tell you a few, but I would probably more open for questions. I was just 19 or 20 when I was drafted. At that time, they had the draft, which is you didn't get to volunteer. They told you you were going. You know, I didn't get to go to the Air Force. They just said you're going in the Army. Okay. Why did I go in the Army? I think when the draft called you up, when you were told to come up, they would interview and they would go through your history, your experiences. And being I was born on and raised on a farm back in Montana, and I drove the tractors and the combines and things like that. So they said you're a good nominated for a tank division. So that's what I wound up with the 4th Armored Division. Went to Fort Knox, Kentucky, which was all about tanks, and we trained there for 15 months until we went overseas and went into combat. I was scared. I was scared. So yeah, I went through, joined the 4th Armored Division, the 3rd Army. If you have heard about General Patton, his 3rd Army, and the 4th Armored Division, they did a lot. They had movies about General Patton, so I don't know if any of you saw it or not. The big battles were all the way across France, and we went through the Battle of the Bulge, which was kind of where the Germans did their last big effort. They tried to come in, and then they didn't make it. We just kind of, they called on the 4th Armored Division, and we went out and took care of that. So, and then we went all the way across Europe, through Germany, different battles we were through, crossing the Rhine River, all the way across, where we met the Russians. We had a bunch of prisoners by that time. We had quite a few prisoners. Stories, what kind of stories can I tell you? The individual scary stories. I'm not going to tell you any gruesome or horrible stories, but the one that Dave, my son-in-law, said to Papa Cullen was, we made one big drive, and we kind of said, today we're going to break into the German line. The German line is up here, and we're going to go up, and our little outfit become the point, which meant we were the first one through the line. So I was about the 3rd vehicle, possibly, when we went through the line, and then when we hit a road where we had to go on a little country road up into a freeway, and there was a dead-end road. You had to turn right. So the Germans had an anti-tank gun waiting for us down a little makeshift building there. So the first half-track made it okay. He didn't go, but the second one, they put a bullet right through the stars. If you've seen pictures of half-track, they put stars. They put a shell right through the half-track. And then the tank, after that, got hit. I don't want to tell you no more. And then my turn came. So I pulled my half-track, made a right turn. I looked. We had little peepholes in the room. I looked out the side, and there's a tank on the guy was cranking the gun. And woo! I looked right down the barrel. The shell hit with a bad shot. I guess it hit the road, hit the road in front of us, and the shell just bounced out and made a big hole in the pavement. We went through the pavement. By that time, our whole crew, they bailed out, you know. And in the meantime, the vehicle, the tank behind me finally shot, finally took care of that. So that was one of my little battle stories. I have a lot, so I don't know what else I could tell you guys. I'm open, so if you got any good questions, what else I've seen or what else I did, I'm wide open for you. Go ahead.
Well, just to be curious, in the Nazis, there's different sections of each soldiers, right? Each soldiers have different units to work on, if I'm correct. How do you guys like come up with these plans to do the war?
The Nazi was, what was the Nazi? It was an organization that Hitler had, you know, is that the question?
Well,
I'll say it too. Say your question to me.
so like, imagine like right now it's like 1940s, right? If I get drafted into a certain type of unit, like Nazi, like for one unit, who's gonna be in charge of one unit, or who's gonna be in charge of?
Okay, so he's just asking who was in charge of you and how did they make their plans?
Oh, we had every little company had a lieutenant, which was kind of like we were under lieutenant. And that was one half track, and then they had several half tracks. Then you'd have a captain in charge of that. And then it just progressed up to majors and whatever. So you had several commanders up in the line, you know, clear up. When the big shot comes, you really have it. So that's how that was, yeah. Order of command in line, in order, you know. So we did. Any more questions? You have one.
Yeah, when you captured the Nazis on your way to where you were going, what did you do with them?
Oh, okay, that's a good story. Most of them would say, hey, you know, camarade. So those you would take prisoners, and they were just told to keep marching to the back, you know. And then there was a group of soldiers that would then put them in a truck and take them to the prison. And the ones that didn't surrender, they just killed. Yeah, they would have just had it, you know, they had it. And we took prisoners. They were wanted prisoners, like in Bastogne, when we went through Bastogne, there's a lot of killing going on. And the American troops were kind of bitter. You know, they didn't really ooh prisoners. They were shooting, and so in fact the commander said, "Hey, quit killing. We need more troops to surrender because we got to interrogate them to get information to know what's going on." So then we finally let up a little bit. But we had one guy that he would, okay, we got 7 prisoners. Somebody take him back, volunteer to take him back to the compound. I'll volunteer. And then he found out he would take him back a little ways out of gun range. He would kill him anyhow. So the finally got out. That's all Pop was. We called him Pop because you know the guy had about 38 years old. So they said, don't get any more prisoners to Pop, you know, because he just takes them out there and shoots them. But we're not supposed to do that. Was you know, against all Geneva Convention. But when you're in combat, it's, you know, do or die. It's you or me, you know. So that's how that was. Ugly as the war was, but that's the way it was. Yeah. Don't ever do it again. No. Any more questions? You girls don't have any questions? Huh?
Actually, Jose, we'll hear from you.
Let's think of something.
Jose?
How did you feel when you came back from the war?
So how did you feel when you came back from the war?
Oh. Oh, that, no, you know, it was after being in Germany, because it was a very poor country, you know. All the kids, we would come out of the mess hall, and usually have garbage cans there to clean up, but we never got to the kids were all standing there with little gallon buckets, so we would scrape our food in there. So it was very poor, a lot of horse and buggy things. even some of the German army still worked with horse and buggies. So very few cars. So when we got back to the United States, oh my God, you couldn't believe the difference. Good old America, how you felt about America. So how much more we had, how pretty it was, and how things were. Yeah, I got down on the ground, you kissed the ground, you were happy to be home, you know. And I went through about 11, 12 months of combat, so I was quite fortunate. Not too many, because there were sometimes days, we were going to a battle, and they say, first squad, I'm the driver, they all come out of the woods. Where's the first squad? Or I was second squad. I said, I'm second squad, get over here, over here. And they'd come over to my half track, and sometimes I wouldn't know any of them, maybe one or two people. So during this combat, they had kept replacing them and replacing them and replacing them. Some of them, were wounded, and they would go to aid station after a few, and then eventually come back. But we lost a lot of people. It was very sad, yes. So what else can I tell you? War's hell, I know that.
Yolanda, did you have a question?
If you know how you got drafted, if you had the chance to change it, would you change it?
So you got drafted.
Yeah.
If you had the chance to not be drafted, would you have gone on your own, or would you
Well,
rather stay?
Yeah, I didn't like it drafted. In fact, I had a brother, an older brother, was the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps sounds so glorious. It's pretty uniform to have. So hey, come on down to San Diego and I'll get you into the Marine Corps. Oh, good. So me and my buddy, we travel all the way down to San Diego, and we spent a couple days, and he takes us down the recruiting sergeant and introduces us, and okay, but you all need birth certificates and so forth. I had mine, but my buddy didn't have his birth certificate, so we waited for a birth certificate. Then finally we went in. All volunteers in the Marine Corps is ended. But we'll mark down here, when you go to the draft station, we'll mark, you want the Marine Corps. Make sure you tell them that now. So when I was finally drafted, went in there, I want to, go to the Marine guys over there, so I went over there, hey, I got this thing, from the guy down, you kind of like, you can wipe, your nose with that, because we're already filled up, we only need 6 months. So go to the Navy, they were qualified, so what's left, the Army, and you got, hey, and that. So that's how I got drafted. I don't want the choice I had is where I wanted to go, yeah. Not many choices.
Christian,
What kind of guns are you using?
what kind of weapons or guns were you using?
Oh, what kind of weapons we had? The half track, did we see the picture of the half track yet?
Oh, no?
No.
Yeah.
There was machine guns mounted all the way around that thing. And I was a driver, so I was really assigned like a 45 pistol that you wear around. The rest of the infantrymen, they had rifles, the M1, that's how you say it? M1 rifle, everybody had a rifle in infantry squad. But the only gun I had was the 45, and then the gun that were on the half track that if planes came by, well, that's another fun story. One day we're sitting on, there was kind of like a hill, a big hill, and we were on the road, parked off the road, and then the other side of the hill or mountain or whatever you want to call it was artillery, American artillery. And the American artillery was really, really raising heck with the German infantry. So the Germans were bringing their planes or their little fighter bombers, they go all the way out and try to drop bombs on them. And then they pull up over the hill, and we're on the hill waiting. So they're not after us, they're after artillery. But that made it fun for us, and I'm like shooting ducks in the bear. They're not, so we're shooting. My turn. Put more, another belt, clean the barrel, now my turn. So every time the plane comes out, and we had talk about going to arcade and shooting. We had our fun that day. I don't think we ever shot one down, but we tell when you kind of